Nadine just looks up in the air, can't believe her luck.
To a semi-final against Lithuania, bronze medalists in Barcelona and Atlanta.
What was she thinking in the air with just two?
Top 50 most scandalous Olympic controversies. Ever the Olympic Games are supposed to represent the very best of humanity, fair play, unity, respect across borders. For athletes, it's the culmination of a lifetime of sacrifice, years of training distilled into moments that can define a legacy forever. But behind the pageantry, the medals, and the carefully choreographed ceremonies, the Olympics have also produced some of the most shocking scandals in sports history. From controversial rulings and blatant cheating to political manipulation and behavior that stunned the world, these moments didn't just spark outrage. They changed careers, rewrote records, and forced the Olympic movement to confront its own contradictions. Some scandals unfolded in seconds, others took years to fully unravel, and many still divide opinion to this day. Today, we're counting down the most scandalous Olympic controversies ever, moments that ignited global backlash and left lasting scars on the world's biggest sporting event. To keep the focus clear, we'll be deliberately avoiding incidents involving mass casualties and instead examining the scandals that shook the games from within. Strap in, because this list proves that even on the world's grandest stage, not everything is as honorable as it seems. 50. Cross-country skiers disqualified. 2002. Winter Olympics. The 2002 Winter Games in Salt Lake City were meant to showcase endurance, discipline, and peak athletic performance. Instead, cross-country skiing became synonymous with doping controversy. Several athletes were stripped of medals after testing positive for banned blood-boosting substances designed to enhance oxygen delivery and stamina. Among them was Russian legend Larisa Lazutina, one of the most decorated Winter Olympians of all time. Her disqualification stunned fans and sent shockwaves through the sport. Spanish skier Johan Muleg, who had dominated multiple events, was also stripped of his medals. Austrian athletes were implicated as well, further deepening suspicion that doping was not isolated but systemic. The fallout was massive. Confidence in endurance sports plummeted, and the IOC faced intense scrutiny over whether it had failed to keep up with evolving doping methods. The scandal ultimately accelerated stricter testing protocols and reshaped how performance enhancement was policed at future games. 49. Greek triple jumper expelled over social media. 2012 Summer Olympics. In an era where a single post can end a career, Greek triple jumper Paraskevy Papatristou learned that lesson the hard way. Days before the London Games, Papatristou posted comments on social media that were widely criticized as offensive and discriminatory. The backlash was immediate and intense. The Greek Olympic Committee acted swiftly, expelling her from the team before she ever stepped onto the Olympic track. The decision ignited a global debate. Some argued the punishment was excessive. Others maintained that Olympic athletes are ambassadors, whose words carry weight far beyond personal opinion. Papatristou issued a public apology, but the damage was irreversible. The incident became a landmark example of how digital behavior can have real-world consequences on the world's biggest sporting stage. 48. Evander Holyfield disqualified. 1984 Summer Olympics. Before becoming a boxing icon, Evander Holyfield entered the Los Angeles Olympics as a gold medal favorite in light heavyweight boxing. That dream ended abruptly during the semi-final bout. After the referee called for a break, Holyfield landed a punch that knocked his opponent down. Officials ruled the blow illegal and disqualified him on the spot. Despite widespread protests and claims that the punch was unintentional, the decision stood. Holyfield was awarded a bronze medal instead of a chance at gold. The ruling remains one of the most hotly debated decisions in Olympic boxing history and fueled long-standing concerns about officiating consistency in combat sports. 47. Security breach. Nearly reaches U.S. Vice President. 2010. Winter Olympics security failures are rare at the Olympics, but when they happen, the consequences can be alarming. During the Vancouver Winter Games, a man using a homemade all-access credential gained entry into restricted Olympic areas. Shockingly, he came within roughly a dozen rows of then U.S. Vice President Joe Biden during a public event. Authorities later detained the individual, who was reportedly suffering from mental illness. No injuries occurred, but the breach embarrassed Olympic organizers and exposed vulnerabilities in credential verification. The incident prompted immediate reviews of security protocols, reminding the world that even the most fortified global events are not immune to human error. 46. Marathon leader attacked mid-race. 2004 Summer Olympics. Brazilian marathon runner Vanderlei de Lima was on pace for gold when disaster struck. With victory in sight, a spectator suddenly ran onto the course and shoved de Lima into the crowd. The attacker, later identified as a defrocked priest, disrupted the race at the worst possible moment. Though de Lima resumed running with remarkable composure, the lost momentum proved costly. He was overtaken and finished with a bronze medal instead of gold. Public sympathy poured in worldwide. While officials declined to alter the results, 45. Australian athletes sneak into paid seating. 2016 Summer Olympics. Not all scandals happen on the field. At the Rio Olympics, 9 Australian athletes were detained after attempting to access premium seating at a basketball semi-final using altered credentials. While athletes were entitled to free tickets, modifying passes to enter paid sections violated Olympic rules. Brazilian authorities fined the athletes, and the Australian Olympic Committee issued a public apology. Further investigation revealed that dozens of athletes from multiple countries had engaged in similar behavior. Though relatively minor compared to other scandals, the incident reinforced expectations of conduct and accountability for athletes representing their nations. 44. Ice dancing judges accused of fixing results. 1998. Winter Olympics. Figure skating has long battled accusations of subjectivity, but the Nagano Games pushed those concerns into full view. A recorded conversation between judges suggested a quid pro quo arrangement, where votes would be traded to favor certain national teams. The revelation shocked the skating world and appeared to confirm suspicions of behind-the-scenes manipulation. The IOC issued stern warnings, and public trust in judge sports took a significant hit. While officials denied systemic corruption, the scandal led directly to a complete overhaul of figure skating's judging system in future Olympics. 43. Japanese speed skater. Suspended for doping. 2018 Winter Olympics. The Pyeongchang Games barely began before controversy struck. Japanese speed skater Kei Saito tested positive for a banned diuretic during pre-competition screening. Though not a medal favorite, the timing made the case highly visible. Saito denied intentional wrongdoing but voluntarily withdrew from the Olympic Village and returned home. Japanese officials emphasized strict adherence to anti-doping rules, reinforcing the Games' zero-tolerance stance. The case served as an early reminder that Olympic scrutiny spares no one, regardless of profile or expectations. 42. Wrestler places medal on the mat in protest. 2008. Summer Olympics. Swedish Greco-Roman wrestler Ara Abrahamian made headlines not for his performance, but for his protest. After losing a controversial semi-final bout, Abrahamian won bronze, then immediately placed the medal on the mat and walked away. The gesture was interpreted as disrespectful by the IOC, which stripped him of the medal entirely. The incident sparked debate over athlete protest and emotional expression. While Abrahamian defended his actions, Olympic officials stood firm, reinforcing strict rules against demonstrations. 41. Olympic complex, converted into a prison. 1980 Winter Olympics. Olympic venues often face uncertain futures once the Games end, but Lake Placid took an unexpected path. To avoid abandonment costs, parts of the Olympic complex were designed to later serve as a correctional facility. Once the Games concluded, sections were repurposed into a functioning prison. While fiscally practical, the decision stirred controversy. Critics argued it undermined the inspirational symbolism of the Olympics, while supporters praised its efficiency. It remains one of the most unusual and debated post-Olympic transformations in history. 40. Speed skating gold medal controversy. 2002 Winter Olympics. Short track speed skating has always been one of the Olympics' most chaotic events, and the 2002 Salt Lake City Games delivered one of its most controversial finishes. South Korean skater Kim Dong-sung crossed the finish line first in the men's 1500-meter final. Moments later, officials disqualified him for cross-tracking, handing the gold medal to American Apollo Anton Ono. The ruling ignited outrage in South Korea. Fans and officials argued that the penalty was inconsistent with previous calls and accused judges of bias. Video replays were scrutinized endlessly, but Olympic officials stood by their decision. While the medals remained unchanged, the incident intensified calls for clearer officiating standards and reinforced the volatile nature of judged and rule-heavy events. 39. Kim Yoona settles for silver, 2014. Winter Olympics. Figure skating controversy returned with force at the Sochi Winter Games. South Korean superstar Kim Yoona, the defending Olympic champion, delivered what many believed was a flawless performance. Yet she was awarded silver behind Russia's Adelina Sotnikova. The decision sparked global backlash. Fans, experts, and former skaters questioned scoring transparency and raised concerns about home country advantage. Petitions demanding investigations gathered millions of signatures. Kim Yoona accepted the result with grace, but the controversy cemented her legacy as one of the most debated athletes in Olympic history and reignited skepticism towards subjective judging. 38. The vault set too low. 2000. Summer Olympics gymnastics relies on precision down to the smallest measurement, a lesson painfully learned at the Sydney Games. During the women's vault competition, gymnasts from multiple countries struggled unexpectedly, suffering falls and injuries. It was later discovered that the vaulting table had been set approximately 2 inches too low. The error disrupted athletes' timing and confidence. Although officials allowed competitors to repeat their routines after correcting the height, the psychological and physical damage had already been done. The incident remains one of the most glaring technical failures in Olympic history and highlighted how even minor setup mistakes can derail elite competition. 37. The first Olympic doping scandal, 1904. Summer Olympics. Doping controversies didn't begin in the modern era. At the 1904 St. Louis Games, marathon runner Thomas Hicks consumed a mixture of strychnine, egg whites, and brandy during the race, substances believed at the time to enhance endurance. Hicks won gold but collapsed immediately after crossing the finish line, delirious and near death. While the substances were not officially banned, the incident exposed the dangerous extremes athletes were willing to endure. The episode later became a cautionary tale and laid the groundwork for the anti-doping regulations that define modern Olympic competition. 36. The Cold War Olympics, 1980, Summer Olympics, 1984. Summer Olympics politics overtook sport during the height of the Cold War. Following the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, the United States led a boycott of the 1980 Moscow Games. More than 60 nations joined the protest, drastically reducing participation. 4 years later, the Soviet Union retaliated by boycotting the Los Angeles Olympics, staging alternative friendship games instead. The dueling boycotts deprived countless athletes of once-in-a-lifetime opportunities and demonstrated how global politics could overshadow athletic achievement on the Olympic stage. 35. Marion Jones's fall from grace 2000. Summer Olympics track star Marion Jones was one of the most celebrated athletes of the Sydney Games, winning 5 medals, including 3 golds. Years later, that legacy collapsed. Jones admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs and was forced to return her medals. She later served prison time for lying to federal investigators, transforming from national hero to cautionary tale. Her confession rewrote Olympic history and raised uncomfortable questions about oversight during one of track and field's most celebrated eras. 34. Canadian Women's Hockey Celebration Backlash, 2010. Winter Olympics. After winning gold against the United States, Canada's women's hockey team celebrated on the ice, long after the crowd had left. Players were filmed drinking and smoking cigars while still in uniform. The footage spread quickly, drawing criticism for appearing disrespectful to Olympic tradition. The team and Hockey Canada issued apologies, acknowledging poor judgment. While no medals were revoked, the incident sparked debate about sportsmanship and post-victory conduct. 33. Disqualified for cold medicine 2000 Summer Olympics. Romanian gymnast Andreea Răducan became the first athlete stripped of an Olympic medal due to a positive drug test involving a common cold medicine. The substance, pseudoephedrine, had been administered by the team doctor. Despite acknowledging the unintentional nature of the violation, officials enforced strict liability rules. Răducan lost her all-around gold medal, sparking debate over fairness, medical oversight, and athlete responsibility. 32. USA Gymnastics Abuse Scandal, USA Gymnastics. One of the darkest scandals in Olympic history involved systemic failure rather than competition. Former team doctor Larry Nassar was accused by more than 265 athletes of sexual abuse spanning decades. Investigations revealed repeated failures to act, despite numerous warnings. Nassar received multiple life sentences, while governing bodies faced public outrage and sweeping reforms. The scandal fundamentally reshaped conversations about athlete safety, power dynamics, and accountability in elite sport. 31. The Rise and Fall of Oscar Pistorius 2012. Summer Olympics, South African sprinter Oscar Pistorius made history as the first double amputee to compete against able-bodied athletes at the Olympics. Dubbed the Blade Runner, he symbolized perseverance and innovation. That image shattered when Pistorius was later convicted of murdering his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp. His dramatic fall from grace remains one of the most shocking reversals in modern sports history. 30. Canada's Drone Scandal, 2024, Summer Olympics. One of the most modern Olympic scandals involved technology rather than physical cheating. Canada's women's soccer team was found guilty of using a drone to spy on New Zealand's training sessions. The issue came to light after New Zealand officials reported suspicious drone activity to local police and the IOC's integrity unit. The fallout was immediate. Canada received a 6-point deduction, dramatically altering their tournament path. Head coach Bev Priestman was suspended for a year and issued a public apology. Though Canada had previously won gold in Tokyo, the scandal cast a long shadow over the program, reinforcing how surveillance technology has become a new frontier for Olympic rule enforcement. 29. Banned for doping before it was illegal, 1998. Winter Olympics Canadian snowboarder Ross Rebagliati became the first Olympic champion in men's snowboarding giant slalom. Days later, his gold medal was stripped after he tested positive for THC. The problem? Cannabis was not on the IOC's banned substance list at the time. After an appeal, Rebagliati's medal was reinstated, but the controversy damaged his reputation. The IOC quickly updated its drug policy, making cannabis illegal just months later. 28. Badminton match-fixing scandal, 2012 Summer Olympics. Few Olympic scandals have been as blatant as the women's doubles badminton controversy. Teams from China, South Korea, and Indonesia deliberately lost matches to manipulate tournament seeding. Rallies ended with intentional errors, baffling fans and officials alike. The Badminton World Federation disqualified all involved players, calling the behavior conducting oneself in a manner that is clearly abusive or detrimental to the sport. The incident exposed structural flaws in round-robin formats and remains one of the most embarrassing moments in Olympic badminton history. 27. The Kozakiewicz gesture, 1980. Summer Olympics Polish pole vaulter Władysław Kozakiewicz entered the Moscow Games amid political tension and hostile crowds. After breaking the world record to win gold, Kozakiewicz responded to relentless booing by making a defiant arm gesture toward Soviet spectators. Soviet officials demanded his medal be stripped, but the IOC refused. The moment became a symbol of resistance and remains one of the most politically charged gestures in Olympic history. 26. Great Britain's Equestrian Abuse Scandal, 2024. Summer Olympics animal welfare took center stage when footage surfaced showing British equestrian star Charlotte Dujardin mistreating a horse during training. The video triggered investigations by equestrian authorities and animal rights organizations. Dujardin withdrew from the Games, though Great Britain still secured gold in team eventing. The scandal reignited debates about animal welfare in elite sports and reinforced calls for stricter oversight in equestrian disciplines. 25. Convicted Dutch volleyball player 2024. Summer Olympics. Dutch beach volleyball player Steven van de Velde faced intense backlash after being selected for the Olympic team despite a prior conviction for sexual assault. Although he had served prison time, crowds booed relentlessly, questioning whether Olympic participation was appropriate. The Dutch Olympic Committee defended the decision under eligibility rules, but public outrage highlighted unresolved tensions between rehabilitation, accountability, and representation on the world stage. 24. Surya Bonali's illegal backflip, 1998. Winter Olympics French figure skater Surya Bonali entered Nagano injured and unable to compete at full strength. Instead of playing it safe, she landed a one-blade backflip, a move banned since 1976. Judges deducted points, but the crowd erupted in applause. Bonali turned her back to the judges and saluted the audience, cementing her legacy as one of figure skating's most defiant and iconic athletes. 23. Greg Louganis head injury, 1988. Summer Olympics diving legend. Greg Louganis struck his head on the springboard during preliminaries, suffering a concussion and bleeding into the pool. He continued competing and won 2 gold medals. Years later, Louganis revealed he had been HIV positive at the time, sparking retroactive controversy. Medical experts later confirmed transmission risk was negligible, but the incident exposed lingering stigma and misinformation. 22. Spain's Paralympic basketball fraud. 2000. Summer Paralympics. Spain's men's basketball team won gold in the intellectual disability category, until the truth emerged. Journalist Carlos Ribagorda, who played on the team, revealed most players did not meet eligibility requirements. Spain was stripped of its medal, officials resigned, and intellectual disability events were suspended for 2 Paralympic cycles, one of the biggest fraud scandals in Paralympic history. 21. China's underage gymnasts, 2000. Summer Olympics. China's gymnastics program came under scrutiny when inconsistencies surfaced regarding athletes' ages. Former gymnast Dong Fangxiao was later found to have competed under a false birth date, making her underage at the time. Following investigation, China was stripped of team medals from both the 1999 World Championships and the Sydney Olympics, reigniting debates over age verification and enforcement. 20. Mounting concerns over the Tokyo Games. The Tokyo Olympics were delayed a year due to COVID-19, but concerns only grew closer to opening day. Public opposition, fears of virus spread, venue issues near Fukushima, polluted water in Tokyo Bay, and resignations tied to past controversies created a cloud over the Games. Instead of celebration, Tokyo 2020 became defined by uncertainty, risk management, and crisis control. 19. Zola Budd and Mary Decker collision. The highly anticipated women's 3,000-meter final ended in heartbreak when Mary Decker collided with Zola Budd and fell to the track. Decker was forced out, while Budd finished far behind. Media backlash unfairly blamed Budd for years, even though later investigations ruled the collision accidental. The incident remains one of track and field's most emotional moments. 18. Displacement for the Rio Games. In preparation for the Rio Olympics, entire working-class neighborhoods were demolished. An estimated 60,000 residents were displaced to make way for Olympic infrastructure and real estate projects. While officials promised economic benefits, critics accused organizers of prioritizing development over human rights. The controversy highlighted the human cost behind hosting the world's biggest sporting event. 17. South Korea bribes boxing judges. American boxer Roy Jones Jr. dominated his gold medal bout at the Seoul Olympics but lost in a shocking decision. Investigations later revealed judges were bribed by South Korean officials. Several officials were banned, and the scandal led to reforms in Olympic boxing scoring. The incident became a symbol of corruption, undermining fair competition. 16. The American swimmers' Rio scandal. During the Rio Olympics, Ryan Lochte and teammates falsely claimed they were robbed at gunpoint. Authorities later revealed the swimmers vandalized a gas station while intoxicated and fabricated details. Lochte was suspended and lost sponsors. The incident embarrassed Team USA and demonstrated how reckless behavior can spiral into international controversy during the Games. 15. Boris Onishchenko's cheating sword. Soviet pentathlete Boris Onishchenko was exposed for modifying his fencing weapon to register false hits at the Montreal Olympics. Once discovered, the Soviet team was disqualified, and Onishchenko was stripped of honors.